Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. You are listening to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast. Today, I have a massive dose of positivity and inspiration for you. Our guest is Dr. Shellie Hipsky, CEO and editor-in-chief of Inspiring Lives magazine, international best-selling author, and founder of the Global Sisterhood nonprofit. Well, I could have gone on for like 10 more minutes with all of your accolades and accomplishments. So I just gave the highlights. Quite impressive.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'm really thrilled to be here. I felt a real connection with you, and I want to help continue to inspire lives, and I love to do it in this medium. So thank you for having me on.
Of course. Well, that's what we're all about here. We want to make sure that people know that regardless of whatever has happened to them in their lives or their current circumstances, there's a way out, there's a way up, no one is stuck. And there are plenty of awesome people like you, like me, out there to help them, right?
Absolutely. And to help them help themselves. I mean, because really you have answers inside yourself. It's just getting a little guidance and maybe hearing someone else's story that'll help you say, oh, okay, I can do this. If she could do it, I could do this.
Totally. So with everything that you've done, and you guys, all this will be in the show notes. You've got to check out everything that this woman currently does and all of her awards and accomplishments. But with all of this motivation on inspiring people's lives to the point of creating a national magazine, which is, to be blunt, it's a lot of damn work.
It is. It is.
So what is that motivating, driving factor for you to write 11 books, which is crazy, to have a national magazine? And it's a print magazine, guys, not an e-magazine. What is driving you?
Love people. I mean, I really love people, and I love them through the yucky stuff and the good stuff. And I want to celebrate who they are and where they can be and who they can become. And I was a professor for a decade. I was a tenured professor, undergrad to doctoral students. And they were all future teachers and future leaders. And about halfway through my tenure there, I was really pulled to start this media company, Inspiring Lives International. And it's just exploded. It has really, truly been the people and who they are and what they bring to the table. My team, like you said, it's a hell of a lot of work. Well, I say it's a hell of a lot of work, and it is. But if I couldn't do it without my team, I know you met Brittany Jarrett. She's one of my LA crew, but I've got people from LA to New York, and we're based in Pittsburgh, and they're just incredible people that get the mission. And that's so important.
What's so great, you guys, is, I think most of us at this point, we are so tired of all the negativity in the news. You guys know I'm a former newscaster, and I don't watch the news. It brings my vibe down. If something really big has happened, I'm sure I'll find out somehow.
Right.
And what's so great about what you're doing is you're basically giving news stories and stories on people that are positive, that inspire, that motivate.
Absolutely. We don't go in when it's the horrible tragedy point. I tend to go in when there's that upswoop in a person's life and they have accomplished something. And for me, Tiffany, when I had my television show, Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie, and my radio show, Empowering Women, I always loved those stories of not only did they conquer the obstacle and that they thought they would never get over, from homelessness to domestic violence to rape to whatever it was, but they conquered it, they got on with their life, and then they went on to help other people. And for me, that's huge. That's a key component. And that's what keeps it positive, because these are all people that are doing for others. They get outside of themselves. I think we get kind of stuck in the mirror with Facebook and with social media, and we're always looking at ourselves. These are people that go beyond that, and then they help other people. They reach out.
And that is what really helped me. Just briefly, speaking on my personal experience, I've shared I've had severe childhood abuse, and I was raped at 15. And one of the things that really helped me and helps me to this day is I know I'm not alone, because of people like you who have a platform, who get out there and share real people's stories, not just celebrities, not that those aren't interesting too, but
Right.
real people that I can relate to and their stories, and that stuff happened to them too that was very painful. And not only did they overcome it and they succeed, but they're there to help and hold space. That is one of the things that helps me to this very day.
It's so important. And like if you look in our magazine right now, if you look at the summer issue right now, we've got Truth in Our Scars. And I was just back in LA again 2 weeks ago, and to honor one of the people that was a person in that Truth in Our Scars portion. And that's Hanifa. And she is just so amazing, Tiffany. She actually was burned in Uganda by acid during a domestic violence dispute. The husband had a person come and answer her door, and she was splashed with acid. The most horrific part, I'm a mother as well, so the most horrific part of that story was that her 1.5-year-old child was there and slipped in the acid. So this woman's life, she was a beautiful, stunning woman on the outside to match her inside. But her entire face was burned off. Her body was chemically destroyed. And she came to America, to the States, to get healing and everything. But it was the Genesee corporation there that helped her out. And so I went, and you said about celebrities, it's not, it shouldn't always be about celebrities, but it was actually Halle Berry who honored her that night. And I was amazed just how far she's come, how beautiful she looks now, just because she glows. I mean, she absolutely glows, and she helps so many other people who have been victims of domestic violence. And it's just absolutely wonderful. So there are just so many stories. And if you can pick up the issue, please do, because Hanifa and the other women that are in that article, we did these makeovers, and it wasn't about covering up their scars. It was just about showing the beauty that's within them. So it was a really beautiful moment.
I love hearing stories like this. It's so painful and to hear what occurred, but the beauty of what happens after that. There's that line that is, hurt people hurt others. Well,
Yes.
I like to say healed people heal millions.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
when you've gone through something and you have that deep passion, and you, like you said, you get to a point where you've healed, where you can get outside of yourself and start helping other people, like what I hope that I'm doing with ProjectME, what you're doing with all of your endeavors. It heals our soul and our wounds in a different way.
Yes, it does. It really does. I mean, there's no Band-Aid. There's no quick fix for those type of traumas. But certainly standing beside someone else and taking their hand, and lifting each other up is a beautiful way to go. And in my opinion, the best way to go.
So since you've dabbled, I shouldn't even say dabbled, highly succeeded in all mediums, TV, radio, magazine, 11 books. What's your favorite? I'm just curious, what's your favorite medium to connect with people?
That's a great question. Okay, so I guess my favorite wasn't even mentioned. So I love all of those, but it's when I speak, when I'm out in front of an audience and I can look people in the eyes, or when they stand up to take the mic and they tell a story and tears start running down their face and I run down from the stage to hug them and we just have this connection moment. Like for me, that's everything. And I just, and maybe that's the teacher in me, that I just love that live face-to-face interaction. But I don't think there's anything can beat that. I mean, I've had such brilliant opportunities to speak in front of groups. Like I got to speak at the University of Oxford in England, and Powerful Connections for Women for the United Way. And I mean, there's just been so many. Pepperdine University in front of 1,500 people. And I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love my smaller groups too. I just literally, I know I already said this, but I love people.
I can tell, you guys. I mean, you guys can't see her as of this moment, but her entire face and energy lit up just talking about speaking, which I can relate to. I mean, I have a deep passion for writing, but obviously I love speaking and the video mediums. And yeah, I see what you're saying. You can actually see that you're moving and inspiring people right in front of your own eyes.
Absolutely. And so with the magazine, I love that because it's very visual. It's tangible. You can see people getting it, and you I love that creative part of that, creating that. Because I have a hand in every part of the building of the magazine, even though I'm the editor in chief, I'm also the CEO of the company. So I love that. We live and breathe that magazine, Inspiring Lives Magazine. But you don't always get that eye contact on it. But let me tell you, Tiffany, yesterday I got to go on a boat with 300 entrepreneurs. It was called the Mega Mixer. And we were out there, and so many, it was all the chambers of commerce locally where I'm at. So many people came up to me. I was literally, my VP and I were in tears because they were coming up to us and saying how advertising with us changed their whole company's mindset and mission, or telling their story for the first time really just deeply affected them, or they read about somebody and then formed a relationship with that person. And it's just taken them to the next level, either personally or business wise. And literally we were in tears. We were all like, oh my gosh, it's working.
I mean, you guys, we keep talking about the magazine. Number one, I know for a fact it's at Barnes & Noble.
It is all over 635 Barnes & Nobles across the country. We're in Books A Million and other newsstands, and we're just picking up this momentum. It's just so exciting.
And you made a great point, because in terms of, having a actual, even if it's an e-magazine, but an actual physical published magazine, you guys, I mean, it's very expensive to do. You have to have advertisers. So how was that experience getting advertisers on board with such a unique concept? How about a magazine that inspires and is positive, and it's not just about, gossip and if it bleeds, it leads, which is the famous news term I heard a million times in that industry. How did that process work?
At this point, we've been so blessed. So in the beginning, it was just about relationships, of going to people that we had relationships with. Now we have people coming to us, businesses that are aligned with our mission, find us and they say, we want to partner with you. We want to be in your magazine, because they know the caliber of people that are reading. they're the same people that will buy their products or, their services. And we're all aligned. Literally, we have had to turn people away because they weren't in alignment with our mission. And I won't go there. I just can't. It's inspiring lives is so important to me and my team that we are only taking on advertisers that really can align with us. Because there's too much crap out there. There's too much junk and too much hate and too much, we just have to be really careful with that. This is our baby, and we're mama bears about it.
Well, and the thing is, this is a great business point, you guys. If something is not in line with your mission or your brand, sometimes, which I understand, especially if you're first starting out, it can be a little tempting if there's a big price tag next to it, but it's never worth it. I've made mistakes early on in my entrepreneurial journey where I did that out of fear. And it just never goes well. I mean, imagine if in this magazine, I know you haven't seen it, for those of you who haven't seen it, but you can probably picture, think of the most positive, motivating magazine you could read, okay? And imagine if she had an ad for cigarettes in there.
Right.
Now,
exactly.
What's that?
It wouldn't align. Now, we could have a drink or two because, I do like a good Malbec. So we don't have a wine that we're advertising in our magazine.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. That's one of the things.
Nothing illegal
we
about
deserve to
wrong.
Right, we deserve to have luxury and enjoy ourselves, and if that involves, a glass of wine, so be it.
Absolutely. I can't wait to have a glass of wine with you, Tiffany.
Oh, this is all happening. All of it's happening. There's too much of a energy force here, and those who've been listening since the beginning know every single guest I have has come on. It's like a full universal thing of how it happens. There's a story behind all of it. And it sounds like that's what happens with the advertisers for Inspiring Lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a beautiful thing. And if you do want to align with us, please get in contact with us, inspiringlivesmagazine.com. We've got all the information right there. And we would love to chat with you and see if we are in alignment, because that really truly is, it's vital. Especially, with our magazine, you got about 100 pages of glossy, beautiful print. But every inch of that magazine is precious to us. We want to make sure that it's all the right things going in there so that when Mrs. So-and-so gets it or Ms. So-and-so gets it in their mailbox, and when they're subscribers and they sit down with their cup of tea and finally get to put their feet up after a long day and read something that's uplifting and exciting for them, that they're getting something out of that. So we really take stock in that. It's important to us.
And we'll make sure everything is in show notes for those of you who have businesses and also are interested in maybe partnering with them with advertising. All that will be in the show notes. Let's go on to your 11 published books. First off, I'm obsessed with saying that because what? And
what?
your main bestseller, as I read, is The Common Threads. It's a trilogy, right?
Yes, and that was huge. I mean, that was the international bestseller. All 3 books went international bestseller at the same time. It was insane. Like, my life just totally changed right then and there. And that's actually that's around the time that I realized, okay, I can't juggle a full-time tenured professor position and run this company and be a best-selling author and everything else. And we'll probably get into also, I'm the president of the Global Sisterhood, which is a huge charity that helps women and children around the world. So yeah, it was getting to be a lot. I also have 2 children at home, and now I have a husband because I remarried after a divorce and all this other good stuff. So I can walk that walk with you too if we want to.
I mean, how did you make that choice? Because obviously you are very passionate about teaching. So how did you make that decision to transition into, you know, your Inspiring Lives, like brand and the nonprofit and everything full time?
I was in San Diego on a retreat for women run by Kate Batten. She's a wonderful coach out of England. And she flew in, and we had just these incredible powerhouse women there. And we were all just bonding and learning about our businesses. And there was this moment where I literally like broke into tears. And I remember this. I was like, I'm so conflicted. I love teaching. I love teaching. But this mission of inspiring lives was just so on my heart, and I had to do it. And I'll admit, Tiffany, I was scared. I didn't want to lose my students. But now I look at my team and my board for my charity, and it is almost half of them were my undergrads to my PhD students. So a lot of them, when I say like Dr. April Torrance and when I say Dr. Janine Black, like when I say their names, I'm like, honey, we did it.
Wow, that's cool.
But I remember there was a moment there during that retreat where I kind of had like this little cathartic breakdown. And I was like, look, I got to do this. I feel like, you know, your little girl comes out. I was like, I think my parents will be disappointed if I leave my professorship that I worked so hard for, because you have to work so hard. It's really publish or perish. And you're just constantly on this grind to get that tenure. And I had like just gotten it a year before, and like no one does this. And I wasn't even 40 when I made this decision. And it was like, what are you doing? But that day, Kate Batten raised a glass and she said, you're going to retire from this position and go on and inspire lives. And I was like, I am, I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And the wheels were in motion, and we all cheersed and drank some champagne, and I'll be damned if I didn't have a retirement party at the university right at 40 years old.
Once you make that decision that it is burning inside of you, and once you make that decision to go for it, whatever it is that you're calling your dream, you know that's what you're here for. Absolutely. You must have felt, even though it was scary, you must have felt a lot lighter.
I did. I definitely did. Yes, I definitely felt lighter, and it felt right. It just felt like, okay, I can do this. I have no idea how I'm going to do this, because, you know, at the time I did have 2 kiddos, and man, you know what? At the time I wasn't remarried.
I mean, how did you,
ballsy of me.
I mean, how did you, and I love when I ask this, because people ask me this all the time. And then of course I always meet some fabulous woman who's like so much more accomplished, which is so inspiring. How did you manage your energy, your self-care, your time in order to do all the things?
Do all the things. So I did struggle with that for a while. But I think that's why I wrote Common Threads, the trilogy. It's the 3 books are Common Threads, Inspiration, Empowerment, and Balance. And really, those were my 3 aching questions. Like, how do you find those things? And so then on my radio show, I was asking those questions. So I found the top 100 women from around the globe, from Pakistan to South Africa, all over. And I culled through that and put on my little researcher cap and found out how they found this inspiration, empowerment, and balance, so that I could figure it out my darn self.
Well, clearly I need to read the trilogy if I'm asking the question. That's another great business point, you guys. She had questions herself, therefore she turned it into a product.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's
And
an
a solution.
international bestseller. Right. It's a product.
Yeah.
She got her answer. It's a solution. And you knew that you probably knew you weren't the only woman in this world wondering
Absolutely.
these things.
Yeah. And I remember the moment when I knew it was going to be a trilogy, because I originally thought it was going to be one book, Tiffany. And I just had those 3 words rolling around in my head. And I had no idea why. And it was late at night. I'm one of those like late at night creative types, with like where my energy just gets charged up then. I grabbed a sheet. This sounds so crazy, but I grabbed a sheet out of my linen closet and my daughter's paints. And I painted in huge letters, empowerment, inspiration, and balance. And I took my curtain rod in my bedroom. I was a single mom at the time, so I wasn't sharing my bedroom with anybody, so that nobody's going to see this except for me every morning. And I would look at these 3 words every day. I was like, what the heck are those words? And then I just realized, oh my God, it's a trilogy. There's so much more to this than just one book.
And obviously, because of going for tenure and there's so much publishing and writing involved, you obviously...
The parish.
You already knew, you already know how to write. That wasn't new to you. But had you published a book prior to this trilogy before?
I had, yes, predominantly academic. So I wrote one textbook with Prentice Hall Pearson, which is the world's largest textbook company. That was grueling. I can't even tell you the process with that. Every chapter, 21 reviewers that are experts in your field around the world were telling you what was wrong with your chapter.
That's fun.
Oh, it was great joy.
So how was the process different for, I guess, could we call it a mainstream book publishing?
It's very different. It's very different. There are not as many eyes on it. There's not as strict of deadline on it unless you put them on there for yourself. You have to be, it's a different audience, very different audience, a classroom, college classrooms, because it's used in college classrooms in India and all over. How to teach with differentiated instruction is what that textbook was on. So I had to gear that towards a very specific audience of future teachers, whereas this, I have to meet the needs of predominantly women like myself. So it's almost like I'm storytelling a story that someone would want, that I would want to sit down and read, but it's all nonfiction. So it's also, taking the research of that and putting it into tangible bite-sized chunks that people can really get into the stories.
Did you go with a publisher or did you self-publish?
I've done all of the above.
Of course you have.
I've worked with so many different publishers and so many different publishing models. Right now I'm under contract for my 12th book, and that's with Morgan James. And they are like the entrepreneurs publisher. So this one has much more of a business slant to it. And it's going to be all about how to tell your inspiring story to attract in audience and clients and customers. And so that's something your audience can look out for on the horizon.
Would you... Oh, there's a lot of people. I always say everyone has a story to tell. It's a matter or not if they are willing to tell their story. And that's part of what I love about doing ProjectME. I love interviewing and hearing people's stories because we all have one. And sometimes people don't realize they have one to tell, but everyone has one to tell.
Absolutely. We all have a...
Right. And how did this become an international bestseller? I mean, I'm sure it wasn't all organic. You had to put something out there, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, we definitely put things out there, but it actually was very organic because of the 100 women in the book were all powerhouse women. So they were all like, oh my God, I got to tell the people that follow me and love me and want to hear my story in print and want to hear other stories that are similar. I want them to tell 10 other people. And so it was sort of word of mouth, kind of old fashioned, but through, you use the social media so that they can do that word of mouth. So it's not like a tin can or something like that. We're talking into. We're actually being able to spread it worldwide that way.
So your magazine sounds like almost like a Reader's Digest version of this trilogy.
You know what? You're the first interviewer that picked up on that. I think you're right. I think you're right. Yes. Yeah. It all kind of circles back to that. And, yeah, I love that the magazine's more visual just because, I love to look at things. I love to see pretty things. That's why I love the fashion section in our magazine. But even the fashion, we always tend to find out like a unique angle, a unique bent on the fashion. For example, there's a designer that designs beautiful fashion designs. Her name's Kathy, and she does beautiful fashion designs for little people. And so we were able to do this whole spread utilizing her designs and really get that out there, because the people in her world that go to the conferences and things like that are little people, they don't have a whole lot of options in that realm. And she found it on her heart to create a whole design. And she is a little person. Her son's a little person. And so there's always that little angle that you can take with something to show, what's inspiring about the person.
I completely agree. And I prefer to focus on that than to focus on a lot of the other aspects. I want to make sure we talk about your nonprofit, the Global Sisterhood. I'm a big nonprofit supporter, so selfishly I'm asking out of my own curiosity. So what is the mission behind the nonprofit?
So we help women and children internationally through our resources and our networks, and that has truly been an organic process. And it really stemmed from that book series. Those 100 women, they really drove how it all came to be. I have been doing huge galas and fundraisers for different charities for the last 20 years, predominantly for the Homeless Children's Education Fund. But so many other ones too. I love being able to give back to people who need it. And, I'll tell you, there was I'm sitting in the same office I did this interview with, Henna Gul out of Pakistan. So I got a Facebook message from a woman who had listened to my Empowering Women radio show, and she was in Pakistan. And at the time I was a professor, I was just, doing this radio show, and I had been interviewing people, and she heard an interview that I had done with one of my friends in South Africa. Well, this was with Hasina Patel and Shashima Patel. Hasina, I was Skyping into their classrooms, doing my teacher thing and empowering the young women that were in this teenage academy there in South Africa. And doing vision boarding and all this stuff that they had never even heard of, but they were so excited to learn it, and excited to get to know me, and just, just a crazy American that loved all this stuff. New movie stars and stuff like that. They were like, wow, this is cool. So she listened to this interview in rural, like out in I can't even describe. The only way that I can describe the part of Pakistan that she is in best for your audience is that it was under Taliban rule.
Oh,
so
wow.
So this is a woman that really, being on Facebook is like a danger zone for her anyways. So she comes to me and she does a Skype with me. She's like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said that she had listened to this interview with me and Hasina, and that I was the reporter to tell her story. And I was I was like kind of awestruck. I was like, wait, I'm sorry. It's like, you have the wrong number. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But she heard something in my delivery and my interviews and how I kind of got to the heart of the matter and the good parts. And she said that I was the one to do that. Then you fast forward to when the books were about to come out. And I had connected her to so many people around the globe, so many beautiful, wonderful women souls. And she said to me, she said, Shellie, she said, do you know what you're doing here? And I said, no. She said, Shellie, you're creating a global sisterhood.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's what we're doing. This is so cool. And then I went and we made it a nonprofit and got the 501c3 status as a charity and formed an incredible board with fabulous women on it. We do these huge global galas and masterminds and bring women from all over the world together. But the heart of what we do is through our pop-up giving. We call it hashtag pop-up giving. And we have women from internationally come to us and say, look, my friend's house burned down. I need to help her. Or there's an organization that's a charity that's really in a bind right now. Can we help them? How can we help them? And we've been able to help so many people around the world. We've given 365 pounds of books to our little library in Africa. I'm considered a soccer mom in a town in Ghana by Nansamo, who is the chief there. He leads over 300,000 people there in Ghana, and they call me the soccer mom. And we're right now helping raise money to get them some good new soccer shoes. So it's all this. It's who needs it the most. And I go to my board, and they're amazing, and they're like, let's raise the funds and let's get it to them. And whether it be funds or we go in and we actually help rebuild a home or whatever we need to do. There are sisters around the world that are helping and just pitching in and using their resources and their networks to make it happen.
I love that. I'm down. I want more information.
Awesome.
I want to be part of the sisterhood.
Yay! You already are, honey.
Oh, thank you. So I know that you guys probably are wondering, how can I get more access to this amazing woman? And I know that you have a speaking event coming up in September. Would you mind briefly sharing with us what it's all about?
Love to. I was really blessed to be contacted by Carolyn Soldo. She is a business coach for coach of coaches. I mean, she's like a real powerhouse. And she founded the Passion to Profits. And I want to get you that exact URL so you can put that in your notes. But so we're gathering together entrepreneurs from all over the world at the Lowe's Hotel in Hollywood from September 13th to the 16th. And she's got these powerhouse speakers, and I think it's really going to be life transforming. I mean, she was talking about like yoga and a gala and get a gown, and it just sounds so fun. And I'm going to do mine very talk show style. So I will have a chair and we'll be interviewing different entrepreneurs on their inspirational story, and then we're going to help you craft your own inspirational story so that you can get it out there into the world.
So going back to Passions to Profits, which is something, I tell you guys, what you have the right, you have permission, you are worth it to be able to make great money and great impact off of your passion and purpose. So this is in great alignment. If you are interested, we'll make sure we have the link in show notes to buy tickets. But obviously you can access so much of this great information, inspiration by clearly getting the magazine. You can go after this trilogy that I can tell you right now I'm buying, the Common Threads trilogy.
Yay!
Yeah, for sure. And listen to, re-listen to our show and share it. And really, you guys, I mean, think about this. It's like we can stay stuck in ourselves and our story and our limiting beliefs, or we can get unstuck. We might have to ask for help for it, but then actually make an impact. I mean, look at the impact this has made. I bet you anything after listening to this episode that you do feel like you're standing up a little taller, and maybe you have, some cool brainstorming. Maybe you're going to break out like a sheet and paints at midnight and have your whole vision for a best-selling international book. Seriously, that's how it happens.
It is. It truly, truly is. You know what? Before we leave, since you talked about the Passion for Profits, I want to give your listeners 20% off of if they want to come.
Oh, so awesome.
Let's do that. It's should I give you the code?
Yeah,
Tiffany,
we'll make sure. Yeah, we'll make sure that the 20% off code is in the show notes, you guys. That's awesome. We love discounts here at ProjectME because saving money is making money is what I always say.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for all of your time and your insight and your story. This was truly a pleasure.
Thank you. You're a blessing to this world. Seriously, Tiffany. Thank you for what you're doing. I love ProjectME. I'm a supporter now.
Yay! Thank you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.